This is the Angels Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Los Angeles Angels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. Coming at you live, as always, after every single Angels game right here on the Locked On Angels YouTube channel and after the fact, both on the channel and wherever you get the Locked On Angels audio podcast feed. If you don't know who I am, what's going on, everybody? My name is Gavin Carlson, former credential journalist in the LA area, spent 4 years covering UCLA sports with the Daily Bruin, and now in year 2 with the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Our team is the Angels, and unfortunately, we're looking like the Angels from the past few years. And the Angels of this season, other than the 8-game winning streak and the 8-4 start to the season, another loss here. Now 3 in a row, right after an 8-game winning streak. The Angels have now fallen 3 straight times, obviously losing the last 2 to the Marlins and then falling tonight in the series opener against the Yankees 5-1 at the Big A here on Memorial Day. Obviously an important day, so shout out to everybody who deserves to be celebrated today. But unfortunately, the Angels' performance did not deserve to be celebrated tonight. Really nothing from the offense outside of a leadoff home run from Zach Neto in the bottom of the first inning. Other than that, the Angels really do nothing. Just 5 hits. They had a chance in the 8th inning, couldn't get it done. Had somewhat of a chance in the 9th inning, but that didn't feel like a real one. But really only a few opportunities to put runs on the board this game. The lineup right back to its usual thing. 11 strikeouts, just 2 walks, 5 hits. And unfortunately, Jack Kochanowicz, he has one of those starts where, stats-wise, it's not going to look that good, and he is the losing pitcher. But outside of 1 inning, he was perfectly fine. He just had a really, really bad top of the 4th inning where he gave up 4 runs. Before we jump into that, shout out to everybody in here as always. Seeing a lot of the familiar faces, unfortunately, after another loss here. But if you can't tell, I'm back here in LA, back at my apartment, back from Vegas, and you can probably hear it in my voice a little bit. Still a little bit under the weather, but obviously had to give you guys this show. So I appreciate you guys being here as always. But we're not going to waste any time. I'm sure if you had to put a bet down in terms of what was the starting segment here, everyone knew it was going to be this. Let's get right to the turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be that top of the 4th inning, right? Zach Neto does go deep in the bottom of the 1st inning, an absolute moonshot, 440-foot bomb, 106.1 exit velo on a changeup on a 2-2 pitch, a changeup off Yarborough, able to crush that. But outside of that, the Angels are doing nothing through the first 3 innings outside of that. Fortunately for the Angels, the Yankees were doing nothing in the first 3 innings as well. Kochanowicz goes 9 up, 9 down to start the game. Just mows through the lineup. But unfortunately, not surprisingly, when you play a lineup this good, and I get it, I say this good, and maybe it's a top-heavy lineup right now for the Yankees, but still, this lineup is too good to, come at it with the same approach your second time through the order and expect the same results. And unfortunately, that's exactly what Jack Kochanowicz did. I thought he was throwing really too many fastballs and sinkers. And I know obviously that's his bread and butter. And obviously it was working the first time through the order, but you could tell in this 4th inning, the Yankees were sitting heat and they were all over it, right? Ben Rice starts the game or starts the top of the 4th with a single on a 1-2 fastball up and away. And for a pitch to be 97 miles an hour up and away like that, and for him to square it up, 104.3 exit velo, he's sitting heat, right? Then Trent Grisham comes up, just the second pitch of the at-bat. He rips a sinker, 107.4 exit velo base hit up the middle. And then Aaron Judge comes in and 1-0 pitch, a sinker down and in, 103.6 exit velo, right? So 3 heaters, 3 lasers from the Yankees. They're sitting heat. Thought there was not enough of an adjustment made by Jack Kochanowicz, as Seth properly says here. New York made adjustments after the first time through the lineup. We didn't, right? Absolutely. Just relying too much on the sinker. And then one of the few walks in this ball game for Jack Kochanowicz, but boy, oh boy, what a pretty disgraceful walk it was to load the bases and then go 4-pitch walk to Cody Bellinger, 3 pitches nowhere near the zone. We get it We get it. You're going for the double play. You're going for the weak ground ball. But to have back-to-back sinkers in the dirt to start at the at-bat, then a 2-0 fastball well below the knees, and then you throw a 3-0 sinker well outside, that was pretty infuriating. He does strike out Dominguez after that, but then the biggest swing of the ball game, a 0-2 pitch. And this was really, really frustrating, and a combination of bad approach, bad pitch selection, but also horrible execution. There's no world where, in my opinion, there's no world where on 0-2, you're not throwing a off-speed pitch, right? When you throw back-to-back sinkers inside, you're literally setting up the down and away off-speed pitch, right? But instead, you go fastball. You go four-seam fastball, which makes no sense already. But then you throw it right down the freaking middle. And so unsurprisingly, Anthony Volpe rips it once again, the fourth swing of over 103 exit velo. This one 104.8. He crushed it, 384 feet. Chris Taylor, who we'll get to later, not able to make a play on it. And all three runners on base score. Grisham, Judge, and Bellinger all score. And just like that, what was a 1-0 lead is now 4-1 Yankees. And based on how the Angels lineup looked tonight, it felt like that was going to be it. And it surely was. But just a really frustrating inning for him because he did so well. 9 up, 9 down. And there was no adjustment from him once the Yankees adjusted, right? He continued to throw the heater. When it's 0-2, a clear strikeout opportunity, and you throw a four-seam fastball, what's going on? And for you to throw it down the middle is just infuriating, right? So outside of that, he was pretty good, and it's ironic. My biggest criticism of Jack Kochanowicz is that he flirts with, there's too many guys on base, right? It's not that he doesn't get out of jams, because he does. He gets plenty of double plays with the sinker, right? It's not that he doesn't even have, obviously the ERA goes up today, but the ERA is not terrible, right? It's not like he's an awful pitcher or anything. My biggest thing is he walks too many guys, gives up too many base hits, right? Today, he actually gave you a performance that you could be excited about in terms of only 2 walks, only 5 hits. That's a pretty solid outing. The problem is that fourth inning, every single hit and that walk were all converted because of an awful 0-2 pitch. And so outside of that, no runs in the rest of the innings. He ends up going 6 2/3. He's able to eat up innings as well, but that 4-run fourth was all the Yankees needed because it was such a bad inning and because the Angels lineup did nothing. But in terms of Kochanowicz going forward, I'm not too worried about it. In all honesty, I think he bounced back in terms of his last start, threw way too many balls. He comes in today and maybe overcompensated and just threw way too many fastballs in the zone. Would have liked to see the off speed a little bit more. And I know that's not his bread and butter, but it was pretty clear that the Yankees adjusted in that inning and he didn't adjust from there. I mean, but you have to give him credit for adjusting after that in the 5th, 6th, and early 7th innings, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough because of that inning. But the biggest issue here, let's be honest, was the Angels offense. And so I'm going to take my break a little bit early, but when I come back from it, we'll talk about the Angels offense and how pretty abysmal it was tonight. We'll also get into Chris Taylor and my thoughts on that. I don't have good thoughts, so that's my preview there. But we'll talk about all that after our break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, on this Memorial Day, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Ironically, the only time I've ever used FanDuel was in the Barclays Center and at Yankee Stadium. But I loved it. The interface is great, very efficient in terms of loading and loading your bets in when you're doing live bets. So it's a great app. If you're in a state where it's legal, certainly take advantage of this offer, which is, if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up, because if you head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet, if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. So make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here live on another losing edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. Yankees 5, Angels 1. I obviously wasn't able to do the show yesterday. Was in Vegas. Was able to give you the first 2 days, not yesterday. As I told you on Saturday's show, I had my wallet stolen, so was kind of figuring that out Sunday. in Las Vegas, and so wasn't able to do the show. But back here in LA, and the Angels right back to losing, unfortunately. We already talked about Jack Kochanowicz. The turning point was that 4-run fourth inning for the Yankees. But the biggest issue in this game outside of that inning, and arguably even bigger than that inning, was how bad this Angels lineup was tonight, right? Outside of that Zach Neto swing, where he has the solo shot, he goes 0 for 3. Sean Newell goes 0 for 4 with a strikeout, no walks. Moncada, 0 for 4. Taylor Ward, 0 for 3 with the walk, but 2 strikeouts. Jorge Soler, 0 for 4 with the strikeout. He's been abysmal lately. Logan O'Hoppe goes 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, then gets pulled out of the game. Joe Adell, ironically, the best player for the Angels tonight outside of the Zach Neto shot. He goes 2 for 3 and reaches via the walk. Chris Taylor, in his debut, fresh off of being signed, he goes 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Kevin Newman 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Oh, by the way, he committed an error before being pinch hit for by Rengifo, who had a base hit. But just 5 hits for the Angels tonight, 2 of them coming from pinch hitters in d'Arnaud and Rengifo, 2 of them coming from Adell, and that solo shot from Zach Neto. I don't really know what much else to say other than I'm very, very, very disappointed with this performance. And it's not because Yarbrough isn't a good pitcher. He is. He's now 2-0 with a 3.06 ERA, right? He's had a very solid start to the season. But this felt like a matchup the Angels should have taken advantage of. You have a lefty in Yarbrough with all the righties in your lineup, right? And it's not like his stuff is that crazy nasty. I wasn't really anticipating a bunch of strikeouts today. I thought it was going to be a question of, is he going to force a lot of weak contact and the Angels just aren't going to show up? He now has 35 strikeouts and 35 and a third innings pitched. So he's averaging about a strikeout an inning, but it's because he had a bunch against the Angels tonight. They strike out 11 times. Yarbrough with 7 through 6 innings. And yeah, I mean, there was just no life for it to be a sold out crowd. Of course, there's plenty of Yankees fans there. For you to get a solo shot from Zach Neto right away at the beginning of the ball game, but just no life. Only 2 guys getting on via the walk, not many contact hits, right? Not much on the bases. Joe Adell, I mean, Taylor Ward almost getting picked off when he did get on base. That was very frustrating, but just not much life from the Angels tonight. And I know everyone in here, ripping on Ron Washington and all that. But for me, it just felt like a game with no life, which is disappointing when you have a team like the Yankees in town, sold out crowd on a holiday, so many reasons for you to be juiced. You have new signings, whether they're ones that to be juiced about or not. You've got a new guy in your clubhouse, a new guy in your lineup. I just thought there would have been more life from the Angels tonight. Didn't seem like they really had much juice. And I get it. The 2 losses against the Marlins were very disappointing. We know how awful the lineup from Ron Washington was Sunday. Didn't have an opportunity to talk about it, but that was awful. People in here rightfully criticizing Ron for that last night or yesterday in terms of the lineup. People criticizing here, a man saying the way Caden Dana was handled. I mean, and let's talk about it. Chris Taylor, I don't know what your thoughts are, but it doesn't make much sense to me at all. It really doesn't. Outfield feels like the spot where we have a bunch of guys that are similar, 2 types of molds. You've got the Taylor Ward, the Trout, and the Soler mold of kind of old guys that are hitting home runs or doing nothing. You've got the young guys, Kyron Paris, Matthew Lugo, Joe Adell, that have high peaks, but also low floors. So I guess the only justification that can be made for Chris Taylor is kind of being the Kevin Pillar of last year in terms of a veteran who's going to bring leadership to that outfield. Trout is probably so focused on rehab since he's obviously trying to come back from another injury that maybe he can't be the leader for Kyron Paris and Joe Adell and Matthew Lugo, right? Taylor Ward, certainly he's hitting the ball well in terms of hitting home runs and extra base hits. Obviously that streak came to an end, but I don't think he's really the guy that needs to be mentoring Kyron Paris, Matthew Lugo, Joe Adell. They're not very similar players at all. So maybe the point of this, above all else, is Chris Taylor comes in to be a mentor, right, for these guys. But I just don't know. My question is, have we lost the plot? Have we lost the plot? I'm sitting here watching the game, and I get it. We won 8 in a row. But I'm watching a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in centuries, that's trying to build a young core. And I'm watching Kevin Newman making errors, hitting 184, going 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, right? I'm watching Chris Taylor be acquired to go 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and look just like the guy that was just released from the Dodgers, right? I know d'Arnaud had a hit, but still, it's big 2025, and I'm watching Travis d'Arnaud, Kevin Newman, and now Chris Taylor. When we've got guys like Lugo and Paris and Adele that at least they're going to have the potential to turn into something, right? And so I get it. You need to plug and play veterans every once in a while, and I get it. People like Fud Alex here are saying good points of sending down Paris is going to be good for his development, right? That's a valid argument, but people like a Kerman in here saying Paris being sent down is messing with his future. Live with Paris and Lugo results. Future, I'm not sure what exactly you mean by the last part there, but in my opinion, come on, man. We're looking at a bunch of old guys on a team that's not going to do anything. And I know we had an 8-game win streak, but come on. No one's sitting there going, we have an 8-game win streak. Let's go get win now players. Right? And so I guess they view this as an opportunity to acquire a guy that's going to be a good mentor, but to acquire him and immediately throw him in the lineup like he's some important addition, I don't get it. I don't get it. So we're going to miss Kyron Paris. I hope he has a good time in the minors, developing. He's had a great start, and then he hasn't adjusted to the adjustments that were made to him. Maybe he needs to do that back down in the minors. That's fine. But Chris Taylor doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. And so if we're going to see him for, playing center field, hitting 8th or 9th for multiple games in a row, that's going to be infuriating. The other thing is we're going to get Trout back eventually, right? We're going to get Trout back. So, and I'm not even someone who's very optimistic about Trout in terms of when he comes back, but we're going to get Mike Trout back, right? Right? Please. Yes, we are. And so it doesn't make sense to go acquire an older center fielder. I'm fine with Joe Adell in center field. He almost seems more engaged sometimes in center field. Lugo certainly would love to have him in center field. And Trout I know we don't want him to, but I don't get acquiring Chris Taylor. It really did not make sense to me. And it just kind of made me annoyed. Even if there are some arguments as to it making sense. Just watching him out there going 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, watching Kevin Newman go 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts and make an error, right? It's like, come on, what are we doing? I'm back to being a grumpy Angels fan, and I'm sure you guys are as well. But more of the story, the Angels lose 5-1 to the Yankees. You got to, wipe this one off. Look forward to tomorrow, hopefully turn things around. Look it up at the probable pitchers for tomorrow, and right on cue, MLB.com is trying to sell me tickets instead of letting me look at who the probable pitchers are for tomorrow. So give me 1 second. But Jack Kochanowicz, frustrating, but he'll be okay. I do think he'll be okay. I believe it's Tyler Anderson tomorrow, but I don't know why they're not showing me it. So I'm going to assume it's Tyler Anderson tomorrow for the Angels. The question becomes, can the offense show us something? Because after the phenomenal stretch they've had, to have 3 games now where you score 2 runs, 0 runs, and 1 run, and all looking in very similar ways, right? Let's not fall into a rabbit hole. This is going to be one of those games where I would rather see what we saw Saturday, where there's 9 hits and in a loss, than see a game where we're going for strikeouts or for home runs and we're striking out, right? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's Carlos Rodon versus Anderson, 2 lefties on the mound. Again, more lefties, another opportunity for the Angels. Rodon could throw that fastball. So be ready for it. I'm going to call my shot right now, and I'm going to say that Jorge Soler is hitting a home run. I'm calling it. If he doesn't, questions need to be asked because he's really, really struggling. But I'm calling my shot on a Jorge Soler home run off of Rodon. Power lefty against a power righty. Let's see one deep in left field at the Big A. Not calling a win. Fortunately, I'm still predicting the Angels to lose tomorrow. Let's hope I'm wrong. But either way, I will be back here tomorrow, as always, after the ball game. And I'll be honest, I am absolutely sleep deprived. You can hear it in my voice, but I'm going to sleep like almost immediately after this show. I'm sleeping in, and I'm going to be energetic tomorrow after hopefully what is a win. But we're wrapping up tonight. Shout out to everybody in here. Hope you had a great holiday. Hope you had a great 3-day weekend. I'm fortunately off of work all week. So lucky me, I will absolutely be here every single day doing the show. Hopefully the Angels can pick up a win or two, the next two against the Yankees. But take care, everybody. I'm going to go rest up so I can give you a better show tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Monday night. I'll see you back here tomorrow. And as always, keep your head up. Go Angels. Take care.